How's everybody doing today? My name's Tyler. This is my shop that's out in my backyard, and today we're going to be straightening lumber. This sounds like something that most people might not have heard of a process before, and I've really not found a lot of good videos on how to straighten lumber that's long and in a bulk process. So most people that would straighten lumber would use a standard jointer. The jointer that I've got is just a 6-inch jointer, but the main problem is that I only have about 2 feet on both sides of for the bed. So when I'm straightening 12-foot boards, that really doesn't work out all that great. So what we do here is I use my table saw as a jointer. Now there's lots of videos online about people using a table saw to straighten lumber, but the way that they do it, it's not good for mass quantities. I got about 50 to 75 sticks of lumber here that I got to straighten that are in varying widths. So the way that somebody would typically straighten a board on a table saw would be to attach a straight edge to the front and back of the board, or to both ends of the board, and then they would use that straight edge as a reference for the fence of the table saw, and then would run that straight edge down the fence, and that would give you one straight edge, and then you would unattach that straight edge, flip it over, and then you would straighten the other end. Works great when you have just a few pieces of wood. I've done that process before when you're just doing, like I said, just a couple pieces, but when you're doing between like 50 to 75 sticks, you really need something that's better. So what I've done is I've created a fence that goes 12 feet this way and 12 feet that way. So 12 feet on the in feet, 12 feet on the out feet, 12 feet on the out feet. So what that does is that allows me to have my straight edge as the fence instead of affixing that straight edge to the piece. When you're straightening lumber, you will always have a bow in the lumber. There's never going to be a piece, even as clear as the piece is going to be, you're never going to have a piece that's completely straight. So you'll find that bow like this, okay? And you're going to put it up against the straight edge, or up against the long fence, to where only those 2 points are touching the fence. And then you'll run it down, get your straight edge, you'll flip it over, and you'll get your other straight edge. You have to move the fence in a little bit and then get your other straight edge. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get the extended fence set up, and I'll bring you back once we're into the dialing in of the fence and the first cuts. Okay, so we've got it set up. This fence goes all the way back here. 12-foot fence, 12-foot fence. Add a few inches on both sides, that makes it work with the 12-foot board. So what we've got down here on the ends is a block that is a same width as a block that we have all the way down at the other end, and then we'll go, and obviously it's that width here, which is 1 9/16, and then we'll come here and measure 1 9/16, and then go back and forth a few times to even up these two, and then that means that our board is completely straight. Now it's very important that this fence also be very straight, so use this same process when you're making this fence, that this piece is very straight. All we've got here is a piece of pine and then a piece of 1/2-inch plywood. You could do that with 3/4-inch plywood or whatever. Got a feather board here that's going to help hold the board down because we're going to be pushing from the ends, and then this feather board here is going to keep the board in. Sometimes you have to move this feather board in and out just to account for how bowed the boards are, but at any rate, let's start cutting. So this is the perfect example of what you're looking for when I was talking about how the wood is always going to bow. You can see I've got this piece up against the fence here. and this piece up against the fence here. And we have, what, about just a little over a 1/4 inch gap here. So with this, we're gonna cut the outside off, and then we'll flip it over and get the 2 other sides. So this is what you're looking for, touching on only the 2 ends with the air gap in the middle. So I was able to get all of the lumber straightened, and one thing you'll notice, I did change the way that the fence works over here. I had a device that went over top of my current fence, and that just wasn't really working as well as I wanted it to. So what we did was we took a piece of plywood and fixed it, and it just goes straight across. And we've got 2 pieces of oak that kind of slide here that kind of give it almost like a sled-like ability to move squarely. So one thing to mention, the first time you come out to set it up, it is going to take a little bit of dialing to get those ends just a straight line all the way down. But once you get set up after that first cut, if you move in 3/4 of an inch in the center, just go back to the back and move that in 3/4 of an inch, and then move this one in 3/4 of an inch, and then that's going to get you to your measurement we were talking about here within a 32nd to a 16th if you're really close with measuring. So with that, one thing to note, you're going to get a lot of more spare sticks, because that's what all woodworkers are about, is making square things, or making round things square and then making them more square, and so we end up with all this scrap. So it's always good to find somebody that likes to, has a wood burning fireplace or whatever that needs scrap, or I end up making this into charcoal for the bigger pieces, and I have a video that I'm working on with that right now. But at any rate, that's it for today. Hope everybody maybe learned something that I really don't see people doing very often. This is kind of a niche thing, because not everybody sawmills their own lumber, but I know that there's got to be somebody out there that is new to sawmilling, that's trying to straighten their boards on a jointer that's only 2 feet long and is getting frustrated. So this has got to be the best way to do a long board that I can figure out. So with that, thanks for watching. Hope everybody has a good day.